Welcome back to a mid-war battle report. We haven't done one of these for some time. And yeah, this is the Alamein campaign, which I haven't uploaded for ages. Obviously, this is the last game. It was, I wouldn't say it's a dead rubber. I have won the campaign, but we wanted to see off the campaign anyway, me and Jimmy. And we were always saving the game for in person. We almost played it a few months ago, but unfortunately we had to rearrange. So we've kind of come to the realization that we kind of have to finish it remotely because we can't really see ourselves playing for some time. But we've done the game just as I'm narrating it at the moment, and it is a really fun game and nice to finally see out the Alamein campaign. And I'll go over as well with the lists. There's a few differences. Obviously, you get some bonuses from the campaign itself, so that's why the lists aren't equal slightly, because there were some freebies in command cards, etc. So we'll go over the list. So I'm attacking because I won the last game, so it enables me to attack because this is it's an axis of attack campaign. And if you want to see more about it, you'll have to sift through Blitz and Pieces Facebook page, because this is where I got the campaign from, and it's been really enjoyable having a map to colour in to show what I've taken, and to have supplies and aerodromes being quite effective in the game. So we'll have a look at my list first, and I'm using the Italians again. So I think at the beginning of last year, I would never have entertained the idea of getting Italians, but it was that breakthrough assault campaign, if you'll remember it, the online global campaign really pushed me to get it, and luckily I managed to get them all in time for that. I've quite enjoyed them, definitely that unknown whether being elite or not. So my idea with this is if I'm an attacker, I'm going to take the command card to enable me to attack at night. So hopefully when the mission gets randomized, my opponent will have minefields. So for the prospect of attacking at night, I've got 3 full rifle platoons. That's 9 teams, so quite meaty. Taking the assault mortars for the first time. I've seen them used before, and I'm taking the 81mm mortars because they've been quite effective. And obviously backing them up, got the armoured cars, the howitzers, an OP, 5 Italian light tanks with a million machine guns, and some up-armoured Panzer IIIs for them, just to try and be that meaty side of the armoured fist. And first platoon is going to be armed with sticky bombs, so hopefully they are elite, and hopefully they're in the right place to deal with tanks. And that's my list, so we'll have a little look at the models as well. So here we have the Bersaglieri Rifle Company. You can see the meaty 3 platoons, the HQ. You can see the assault mortars at the back on the large base, and then the 81mm mortars. So again, mixed bag with these. Quite decent morale. Their rally rating is great, and their follow me is great. Even better if they're elite. The other thing is they're hitting on 4s in assault, and their counter-attack is going to be 4s as well. But then if they're elite, they're hitting on 3s. So quite decent. And the assault mortars, if they've moved or pinned, 3 shots each. Overhead firing as well, nice. But if they're not, 6 shots each. And that's a 5+ firepower, and can fire smoke as well. So I plan using these going behind a rifle platoon, firing overhead to hopefully pin down whatever's going in, or putting down a few smoke rounds. Be quite good at digging out infantry from a building as well. But only 3 of them, so if you lose one, you are last standing. But always a problem, but quite looking forward to using these. So as mentioned, the assault mortars are on debut, so that's why they're up here. And so looking forward to using them, mainly as a suppression unit, going in behind an infantry platoon, just overhead fire. So yeah, I've had them used against me years ago with my friend Will, who played at Avanti all the time. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what they can do for me today. As I had the points left over in my list, so I thought I'd include them rather than the MGs, which obviously can't overhead fire and have a lot less shots when they're stationary. And the firepower is better on these guys as well, and can fire smoke. Okay, and then this is the support. So we got 5 of the Italian tanks, 4 of the up armored Panzer IIIs, 3 scout cars. 1 scout car is an OP, and we have 4 of the Italian howitzers as well, which are pretty good, decent firepower, 3+ on artillery, and can fire smoke barrage as well. So quite decent on the artillery front. Okay, so with my list, it's a 100-point list, but as you can see, I have 3 extra points, so 103. That's because I have 3 free points for command cards in this campaign. So basically, I have 2 points because I have 2 ports. I have 1 over in Tripoli, and I have 1 at Tobruk, which I captured early on. And I also have 2 supply dumps, which gives me an extra 1. So I put these points, the 3 points, just into these command cards. So sticky bombs, obviously Bersaglieri bombs for the Italians, quite useful because infantry do struggle against tanks when they do get in, but could do with some motivation effects to get in. And Paolo Cassia Dominioni, basically so I can night attack. Very good card, 4 points, quite a bit, but I think the ability to attack at night is quite worth it, just to give those Italian infantry that extra chance of getting into combat, because at night they'll be hitting 5s with defensive fire, which is pretty decent. Obviously, a bit more smoke as well, hitting at 6s. Okay, so this is Jimmy's ANZAC list. So first of all, you might see the red writing. There are 3 Matildas in this list, so the total is 108. Again, 8 points more because Jimmy has an aerodrome in proximity of this battle, so he had a free choice of air support. So he went with the Kitty Hawks over the Hurricanes, and he had another point because he has his port in Alexandria for command cards, so he's taken the lucky card. We have, so obviously I couldn't have the Matildas on the forces list, so I just added them in. But we have 2 platoons of ANZACs, so quite stubborn with their 3+ rally, and we also have the mortars, 6-pounders, and 2 universal carrier troops as well, which are going to back them up and pretty mobile. And I'm concerned with Matildas. Apart from my sticky bombs, they're pretty much uncrackable with my infantry with their top armor of 2. It also has 3 Grants, so again a very good tank, and 25-pounders, which is a staple of the British mid-war lists. Again, like me, he has sticky bombs for 1st platoon, and the ANZAC Rifle Company as well. Again, that rally rating is quite useful. So here the ANZACs, 2 platoons, rifle platoons. So these are 7 rifle brand gun teams, a boys anti-tank rifle, and a 2-inch mortar in each platoon. And then you have the HQ, which is just again rifle teams. You have the 6-pounders, 4 3-inch mortars, and 2 universal carrier patrols of 3 UCs. So the ANZAC card changes the motivation in infantry teams in this formation to a 3+ rather than a 4+. So very useful until you start rolling 2s, which is always the case. And here's the support. So we have a Honey OP to help out with the artillery, 4 25-pounders, which are a good dual role for anti-tank as well. 3 Grants, very good. And we also have that free little anti-tank 7 gun on top as well, which Jimmy is usually the main tank killer in these games we've had. 3 Matildas and 2 Kitty Hawks. Kitty Hawks favoured over the Hurricanes because of their the fact they can drop bombs, and they have MGs as well. And here we have the 3 Matilda 2s. So slow, heavy, not a great gun, but pretty immovable. I've got the the unit cards for them after this slide, so you can use them yourself. You can find them on the Flames of War website. I think it's a community created card, but I had the models, and it'd be nice to use in it, and they debut as well. And probably never use them in a formation. 18 points for 3 of them is quite a lot for what they are. If you think about it, you can get 3 grants with the 89 and also a gun as well on top, but it's their front armor that is the good part, and also top armor 2 is pretty good as well, so pretty solid infantry tank as we all know they are. And here we have the 3 command cards for Jimmy, lucky card, ANZAC Rifle Company, and the sticky bombs. So decent command cards for the British. Hopefully we'll remember to use the lucky card. Okay, so here is an aerial of today's battlefield. I'm balancing on top of a large ladder, and this is actually in my new home, which I'll give you a quick tour of before the game. And I also got another little table on the end, because the 2 tables I had were a few inches short of 6 foot, so now we have a full length board at last. So as you can see, we have the road leading into a small settlement with a railway, and we have a few rocky outcrops and ridge lines that the road has had to weave through. A few palm groves on the outside of the town, and in the town as well, tall terrain. Some of the walls in the town are tall as well, and there's a few dunes on the outskirts as well, and the areas with the orange bushes are just scrub. And that is today's map. So Jimmy, being the defender, gets to pick first, and he picked the town section to defend, which we'll have a little look at. I'll leave all the dice out to show where all the areas were. So I thought he would. Towns are quite decent to defend. It does kind of make it tricky for your lines of sight, but it is good to hold on to the town, because it's easier to hold the objectives with your infantry being all nice and safe in their houses. So we have deployment, and I'll give you a quick tour of my new setup. So some of you might know I was moving home, and luckily my new home has what was called a playroom, which is now the war room. So it is enough to have my table set up and having a little table on the end. I also have a little setup for my terrain underneath, which I have started to grow a little bit more. Even better, I have room for my desk and my cabinet, so all fitted in nicely. So now we'll have a look at the deployment. So Jimmy has put the Matildas, the Grants, the Kitty Hawks and the Universal Carriers in reserve, and he has his 6-pounders in ambush. So he has a 2nd platoon holding the railway area here on one of my objectives. He has the 25-pounders further back with the Universal Carriers hidden. We have the mortars in this courtyard. 1st platoon around the objective, which I have a ranged in marker on, as we can see here. And HQ is in this building here, giving support to good 3 platoons. We have a minefield by here, and there's one either side of the palm groves. I've kept the dice down. You can see the dice here are for where I put the objective. These dice here were the edge of his deployment, and then here is the edge of mine. So I have 1st platoon here, which are actually elite, and they have the sticky bombs, so even better. We have the scouts and the HQ. 2nd platoon in the centre, along with the up-armoured Panzer IIIs and my OP on the ridge, which turns out to be elite as well. We have my mortars, which are elite as well. My howitzers on the hill at the back, and we have the Italian light tanks to right in front of them. I have the assault mortars and 3rd platoon on my right as well. So a pretty decent wave of Italians trudging forward in the dark, with the tanks waiting for the first light of day. and that is deployment. Me being the attacker this mission, I'll have first turn, and I forgot to mention as well, we have the OP pushed nice forward for the British, so they have plenty to spot for artillery. So we will get underway for Italian turn 1. Okay, so my movement step, everyone has done a terrain dash forward, because that's as fast as you can go at night. And pretty much everyone apart from the HQ passed their follow me, so these guys are nice and easy for them, needing the 2 and they got it. And all 3 others pretty much got 6s, so that's good. So I'm going to keep hold of that dice for now. So as you can see, everyone trying to avoid the ranged in marker, and you can see over here the assault mortars and 3rd platoon moving up to the palm groves here. So shooting, not going to be much other than artillery, and one of those I need to re-range in, so there might be only the one lot of artillery, so we'll see if I can get anything. Okay, so start off my shooting with ranging in the mortars. They're already ranged in, so I got 3 hits on the British 3-inch mortars here, and even with re-rolling their saves, these guys are really well dug in. None of the saves were failed, but they are pinned. I rearranged my howitzers basically back only 1 inch, but I managed to get most of the platoon. Because it was night, it ranged in on the 3rd attempt. It would have been nice to have their howitzers as elite. Only got 1 hit on the 2-inch mortar, so that pinned the team, but no kill. And that is my shooting, so now we're getting into British turn 1. Okay, startup step for the ANZACs. Everyone is rallied, 3+ rally for the ANZACs on infantry teams in the formation, so that takes it down to a 3+, which is pretty good, and they didn't need any rerolls from their formation command. They are quite motivated. Ambush has not turned up yet. Obviously the 6-pounders don't have high explosives, so not the best at taking out infantry teams. Their thing is mainly the tanks that will be rolling up when dawn breaks. So that is motivation, so now we'll see if Jimmy's going to be moving anything. Not much, everything's well entrenched at the moment, but there's a few little corrugated steel sheds to move around, aka the UCs. Okay, so the only movement was the UCs wheeling down the road, and we went straight into the shooting. So the 3-inch mortars did have a few teams under their template, but Jimmy tried to range in ahead of them, clipping the first 4, but then anticipating them moving further into the template. Unfortunately, with his 3 attempts, he failed to range in. The 25-pounders ranged in by here, thanks to the OP up here spotting for it. Ranged in on the final attempt, managed to get 2 hits, but like the ANZAC counterparts, managed to shrug off all the hits. The 1st platoon here as well rolled to see how far they could see, but unfortunately not enough carrots in their rations. They could only see 8 inches, so not far enough. And that is it for the British shooting, and now we're going into Italian turn 2. So in the startup step, I rallied 3rd platoon. 1st platoon then did a tactical move forward and then did a follow me, but failed to follow me, so that follow me would have managed to get me into assault range on this guy. HQ managed to pass their follow me this time, so right behind 1st platoon. 2nd platoon passed, but these guys were out of range. The assault mortars moved out, being careful to stay out of the mines, and 3rd platoons moved into the woods and punched up a little bit more with a follow me. And that is all the movement, so now we'll go into the shooting, and hopefully I can actually take out some of these Aussies this time. Okay, so in the shooting, I just repeated my bombardments. Only got 1 hit on the mortars this time, but again, no kills. And repeated my bombardment on the rifle platoon and managed to get 1 hit and 1 kill. So first blood, and I got 2 teams pinned down, but I guarantee they'll probably rally, because 3+ is pretty good, but I can't say much. My rally's pretty good as well. So we're going into British turn 2. Okay, so in the motivation step, both platoons rallied the mortars on 1st platoon. Seems being the last game of the campaign, everyone is really up for this one. Hopefully my guys can keep on this insane morale anyway. So we're going into the movement. We'll just check to see if the £6-pounders are going to pop up, but don't think there's any good places to put them yet, since there's infantry swarming all over the place. Okay, so only movement. The Universal Carriers have done a tactical move to go behind this wall and try and get their brand guns onto the infantry here. And that is it for movement. The £6-pounders didn't come in. Again, if they come in, they're going to get swamped by infantry, and they're only really their purpose is for the tanks, which can't leave their deployment zone yet, so they'll have to wait their turn, but still plenty to do. So we're going into the shooting now, so most likely now we're going to see some small arms going off, and probably the MG on the Honey OP is going to mow down some Italians. Hopefully they don't, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so in the shooting step, the mortars again failed the range in. They traded the range in exactly where the 25-pounders did, but failed. As you can see, the 25-pounders did range in, but on the third attempt, and only got 1 hit and no kills. First platoon could only see 4 inches in front of them, so it wasn't enough to get to the woods. The UCs, though, they can see 24. They hosed down the tree line, did get 1 hit, but no kills, unfortunately. And then the Honey OP, even though he's calling in artillery, could only see 4 inches, so he could only see the guy directly in front of him and got no hits, and then failed the shooting scoot as well. So that was a bit of a problem for the OP here. So we're going into third turn for me, for the Italians. So when we go into Jimmy's turn 3, when he'll be rolling for reserves, and he'll be rolling to see if dawn has appeared. So quite significant turn 3 coming up. But we'll start with my turn 3 first. Okay, so in the movement, first platoon has tried to surround the Honey OP. My scout cars, although I'll be lucky if I hit anything, trying to support them. Obviously the OP is fired, so it revealed itself, but it'll still be very, very hard to hit. Second platoon is pushing towards the settlement, hopefully be able to get to grips with the mortars. With the addition of the Universal Carriers, I felt I didn't want to risk my troops yet. Hopefully it can stay night for another turn. So I've dug in both platoons of the mortars and the infantry, and well, I put gone to ground markers on there, but they might as well stay like that. So that is my movement, and the only other thing I moved as well, the Panzer IIIs weren't quite on the edge of my deployment, so I just pushed them up. It was like a matter of inches, but it might be important later on in the game, so we'll see. So we'll go into my shooting and see if I can pin down a few things. Well, hopefully keep them pinned down this time. So Italian shooting. Okay, so in the shooting phase, I rearranged in the mortars, got in first time, and as I said to James, that's how you do it. Got hits on the mortars, and I didn't hit anything else. I just have to double check if I did hit the HQ, I can't remember. I did range in again, re-range in with the howitzers, and took out the boys' anti-tank rifle, so no anti-tank capability left over here, so that is good. Third platoon did not fire, but my assault mortars did, and I actually got a hit, but no kills. Didn't fire second platoon because I want to make sure I can still get into combat, and my scouts did not hit the OP, so I'm going to have to dodge a few MG rounds as I go in, but I feel like it's a good idea to try and assault him anyway, try and get rid of his 25-pounder spotting, because they're in a bit of a funnel by here, but they can't see everything up here. So 2 assaults at least. We got 1 here and we got the OP, so let's see how this ends up. Okay, so in the assault phase I did lose 1 rifle team to the OP, but I managed to get 5 bases onto it, of which 4 of them hit. These guys are the veteran platoon, and James unfortunately rolled a 1, so that wasn't enough, so he got bailed and then died. Got 2 teams in the contact with a mortar behind the wall. I killed him, and then James just broke off to get his guys away, and so I got 2 teams, the assaulting teams that went into this building, 2 more teams went into here, and then the rest are in bulletproof cover from the rifles, because
day might turn up. So we'll see in the startup step if it does. Okay, startup step for turn 3, British. It's still night. There's no reserves, no ambush, but the Australians have rallied yet again in their entirety. So we're still game on, so let's see what they get up to in their movement phase. In the movement phase, the mortars tried to dig in but failed, so that's quite bad. And the 25-pounders repeated their bombardment, hit the assault mortars and 3rd platoon, and they managed to kill one team from 3rd platoon. And the UCs could not see far enough, and that is it. No more shooting from the British, so now we're going into Italian turn 4. It is still night time. Luckily my rally rolls were done after that because they had 2 5s which would have caused dawn to break. So these guys have rallied. It's still night for now, and but reserves will start to trickle in for the allies at some point, so need to get these guys off these objectives. So we will go into my movement. Okay, so 3rd platoon have come out of the woods. I'm blocking a few shots for the assault mortars, but they can still see a bit of the platoon, and I do have my UCs by there as well, so there's quite a few bullets I need to dodge. 2nd platoon has occupied more of this little building and the little one there, and 1st platoon has moved up onto the railway up here, and it failed again to follow me, and these are basically, I don't need ones and they keep doing it. Only other movement, I put the my Italian scout cars are back on the road so they can road dash when I need to. And that's it, that's my movement. So let's go into shooting, and I will be firing some smoke, so it'll be very difficult to hit my Italians now. So we'll see if I get, well, I'm going to just put it on my already ranged in marker with the howitzers. So I'll put them down and then we'll go into the rest of the shooting. So here's my smoke barrage, just trying to take out a little bit of the sting in the tail from the UCs. I fired a lot into the British infantry, but they didn't fire back at me, which is a problem. I managed to get 3 hits in total, so not enough to pin them, and I was with the assault mortars and pretty much everyone firing who could. My mortars re-ranged in on the same point, killed another mortar, and killed the 2 IC. And that is it, and didn't fire anything else. 2nd platoon also fired, trying to pin them down but could not, and 1st platoon up here will hold fire and try and get a few teams into the building if I'm lucky. Cover fire will be mitigated a bit because of the building, but they should be able to force me back. Here though, I have a lot of firepower I need to run into, so wish me all the best. Okay, so the British got exactly 5 hits on me here, so that stopped my assault, but I only lost 1 guy. Over here didn't go so well either. I did kill 2 British teams and I lost 3 in the process, but in the end all my assaulting teams got wiped out. So both of us are pinned because we both took hits. So that is where we end it. So now we're going into British turn 4, and I reckon the sun will start to appear. Turn 4, it is still night time. The British HQ has not rallied. He probably is a British officer in charge of these Australians, and that's why he's not rallying, because everyone else did. And the British support that's meant to be coming in has not turned up, because so the Australians at the end of the day holding this town. We'll take our time, because you know we haven't taken any real casualties yet apart from the 2 IC. That is where we end the startup step. So now we're going to go into the movement for the Aussies. Before we went into the movement, we did do a last stand on the mortars because there's only 2 left and they are a infantry team. Okay, just double check that was correct. The universal carriers did move so they could clear the smoke, and quite a few of 3rd platoon got mowed down by this platoon and these guys, and 1 got taken out by the 25-pounders that managed to get a hit as well. The assault mortars also took a casualty from 25-pounders, so they'll be last standing as well. And the 3-inch mortars from the British also ranged in but failed to hit anything. These guys fired into this building, only got 1 hit in total, and that is it. That's where we end British turn 4, so now we go into Italian turn 5. Dawn has finally broken, definitely this time. I rolled a 5 and 2 6s, and everything rallied and passed their last stands, which is great for me. So now the armour gets to roll up finally, and we can start getting into the business end of this map, and now I can finally see these guys, so hopefully I'll get a few more hits on them. So we'll go into Italian movement. Okay, now dawn has broken, everything has kind of sprung into life. So the scout cars did a road dash down to here. There's nothing within 8, so they managed to get to the edge of here, and then they did a follow me to push up a bit more. 3rd platoon is still going to go for it, going for the infantry by here. The Italian tanks are moved here, and with the help of a blitz, the up-armoured Panzer IIIs are here. 2nd platoon has moved into the road area, and 1st platoon and the HQ are just beyond. So quite a good pincer on this objective here, and a little bit here as well. So it has helped me having no allied armour coming in, but they will be next turn. So hopefully I can dig in onto something this turn and try to get pushed off. And that's it. So now we're going to go into shooting. Okay, so rearranged in my mortars here. Just pinned everything again. Managed to pin 1st platoon and whip out a couple of their units, and my tanks managed to kill 1 UC and bail another. In hindsight, it would have been nice to, probably better idea to have some smoke. 2nd platoon is well and truly pinned, so that's quite good for this pincer assault, and they ranged in my howitzers here. They ranged in themselves, just about being able to see it, and I took out 1 of the 25 pounders, and that is where I end my shooting. So potentially a few assaults here, so we'll see how they all end up. This one will do first because it's a bit of going to be a difficult one for me, I think. There's still plenty of firepower from the British and only 4 teams left, but 3rd platoon might as well give it a crack because they're just going to get shot at next turn anyway, so we'll see what they can do. So 3 assaults in total. 3rd platoon went in, took 4 hits in total, but I shrugged them all off, killed a couple of guys, and then the British pulled back, failed their counterattack and their re-roll for their counterattack. Up here, 1st platoon, the elite and the HQ attacked first into the building, wiped all but 1 platoon, and then James just broke off back to this way. But then only 2nd platoon was waiting for them, so they charged in, lost a couple of guys, and the British lost, I think, another team, but then failed their counterattack, so backed off behind this railway line. So 2 platoons in the HQ on this objective, and just a few teams from 3rd platoon on this one, and that is it for my turn. So now we're going into British turn 5. Okay, so everything rallied and stayed on apart from 2nd platoon, which is trouble. So Jimmi's reserves have turned up, so the Matildas have gone to support this objective and to stop me taking it, because the infantry weren't going to be moving to help. Which is a trouble for me because these are pretty much an uncrackable nut, but luckily 1st platoon are armed with sticky bombs, so I might be able to do something at least. And apart from that, that is all we've got. The UC managed to get back in, so they're not last standing down here, and now we go into British movement for turn 5. Just before we got into the movement step, I just nudged the Matildas back just ever so slightly, just to get outside ambush range from the guys with the sticky bombs. James is okay with these guys because they literally all they're going to be doing is hitting the side of the tank and not doing anything. Rest of the movement, 1st platoon is moved into assault range on these guys here, trying to avoid these guys because it opens up too many of the scout cars that could do defensive fire, and then we have the universal carriers as well that can fire, although these guys can just about see. It just depends if they can see the base or not. So we've got British shooting, and they'll probably be able to wipe out this platoon anyway with firing, but we'll see what they can do. So with the universal carriers and these teams here, they managed to take out one rifle team, so I'm still here. The 25 pounders and the mortars just did their thing over here. Almost had a chance to bail an Italian tank but didn't, and unfortunately the firepowers could have killed two over here. I forgot to mention all the recaps that the 6 pounders actually turned up in ambush. I don't know how the Italians missed them, they must have run straight over them, but they took out 2 of the scout cars, which have taken quite a lot of shots off my defensive fire down here. And other thing, the Matildas and the infantry fired into the buildings over here. Got a couple of hits, but no kills, unfortunately. So, going into British assault phase, there is an assault here. With what's left of 1st Platoon, they need to force these guys off this objective just to secure it that a little bit more. So, we'll go into that, and we'll let you know how it went. So basically, that was a textbook assault. No casualties. Going in, and all teams killed the teams that they went into contact with. Even the 2-inch mortar did it as well, and they consolidated onto the objective. So all the 1st Platoon are now contesting the objective, and I am not only up here, but I got Matildas to deal with. So we're going into Italian turn 6. Okay, so in the motivation, everything has rallied, the assault mortars in 2nd Platoon, but the scouts have had enough and driven away. So the contribution to the game is they burnt up some of the Axis fuel by road dashing, and that is it. So now we're going into the movement, and I have plenty to do. Okay, so in my movement, the Italian tanks are pushed forward to hopefully hose down the British on the objective. Only 2 of the Panzer IIIs are moved, the rest already had line of sight on the universal carriers. 2nd Platoon is split into 2, 5 teams have gone to try and deal with the 25 pounders, and the other 3 have remained stationary on the objective, and 1st Platoon has exited the building to hopefully assault the Matildas, and that is where I end my turn. So I will be starting with a smoke barrage from my Italian mortars. My HQs remain still, so you can spot right by here. That is the edge of their range, and then the smoke will be going across to cover the advance of the infantry. And that is it. We'll go into the shooting and see how I do. So I started my turn with the smoke, which is covered over here. I then ranged in my howitzers by here. Got a hit, but no kills. I managed to kill one of the 25 pounders but not pin them with this infantry platoon. Over here I had to put the assault mortars, the Italian MGs and 2 MGs from the Panzer IIIs to wipe out the 5 teams here. The Panzer IIIs fired last because there was one mortar team that survived 5 hits from the Italian tanks. So I had to split my fire, so 2 of them went for the UCs and got 1 kill, and then the other got 8 MG shots, managed to get rid of their lone mortar team. So that objective is open for now at least. And that is it. So there are some assaults coming in, some on the 25 pounders and on the Matildas, which is the main thing to try and push and clear this objective and try and win the game before more reserves come on. There's plenty more for the British to come on, the UCs, the Grants and the Kitty Hawks, and obviously these 6 pounders are, well, literally going to be a pain in my arse, so there's plenty to do. So we'll get into the assaults and hopefully it will work out. Okay, so first assault down here, 25 pounders were eliminated. I didn't actually hit any in assault, but they failed their counter-attack. Over here, it went back and forth for quite some time, and James rolled quite a lot of 1s. Luckily, 1st Platoon are veteran and had sticky bombs, and had the HQ shouting to get them back. Infantry did get involved to help out, but in the end, the counter-attack failed, so the Matildas got blown up and the infantry pulled back. So I started my turn within 4, and ended it with 4, so that leaves me with a 7-2 victory, because I lost my scouts and I lost 3rd Platoon in its entirety. So coming into man of the match for me, in regards to troops, I think it'll be 1st Platoon, even though they were suspicious on their follow me's, but they did make up for it with the fact that they took out 3 Matildas and pushed the platoon off the objective. but I'd probably say my main man of the match was the fact that I did a night attack. So that was my command card, because I don't think I would have got as close in on the objectives before dawn broke. But did miss out using tanks a little bit more. James is having a tough decision with his man of the match. Do you have a man of the match, James?
I think it was the UCs in the end. They held you back for quite a while just for the fear of them.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. When James put them on that left flank, that stopped me basically putting third platoon in that turn, mainly because with them there, it just added 9 more defensive fire shots that I just really couldn't deal with. So I think I would have, if they'd not gone there, I would have probably assaulted in a lot earlier and most likely pushed away the British, all at night as well, so it would have been even more difficult to get rid of me. But yeah, that was a good game, so I'll take photos of it. And any, yeah.
Oh, but I also think that your MVP was actually my dice roll the ones on the Matildas.
There's potential, but it was but apart from that, your dice are pretty good for your saving throws. It's just your armour throws that let you down. But yeah, the Matildas had to go there in the end to secure that objective. But yeah, I got 5 guys in. The defensive fire was, I think, 1 hit, but the smoke really helped with that. And I think first round of combat, I took out 1 Matilda. And then I think it was the 3rd round I got the other one, and then finally the last tank remaining. But they did take out 1 team, and then the infantry took out another team. But in the end, yeah, 3s for the infantry. The counterattack only lasted so long. But yeah, and that's where we ended it. So yeah, good game. Nice to christen the house with a nice mid-war game and end the campaign. But what has actually happened is the Axis powers have extended their supply lines so much. Even though I've broken the defensive line at Alamein, I've decided to pull back because the Royal Navy have scuppered my supplies, and the Americans have landed in Morocco and Algiers. So next campaign looks like it might be in Sicily. So yeah, all these games I'm just gonna have to drive back because those scout cars used up all my fuel. And that is it. So hope you enjoyed. And catch you again for when I eventually start the Sicily game, when we can all meet up in real life. So everyone, please take care, and if you again spotted any rule violations, I usually do at least one every game by mistake, let me know and I'll make sure I catch you next time. So till next time, take care.